The peak oil conspiracy. Origins of the peak oil conspiracy theory. The peak oil conspiracy traces its roots back to geologist Marion King Hubbard back in 1956. He presented a paper indicating that any finite resource must have a beginning, middle and end of production and must reach a point of maximum output followed by a decline. Thus technology will keep improving to extract oil at a faster rate which must eventually reach a point of decline. He accurately predicted a decline in oil in the 60s and 70s, which marked him as the first to bring the problem of peak oil to public attention. The term peak oil refers to the maximum production of oil, not to the falling supply of oil. Many allege that inventor Nikola Tesla developed an alternative form of energy to oil called free energy over 100 years ago, but that this discovery was covered up by oil baron John D. Rockefeller. Thus this form of energy faded away. However, there is no evidence that such an energy source actually exists, and it is unreasonable to suggest that it does. No scientist has since been able to find a basis or even create any working models. Thus nothing at the present moment can replace oil. The world today runs on oil. Many contend that should we reach this point, then the free market will solve the problem. As more resources are turned towards discovery alternative forms of energy and different ways of doing things, the solution will be found. However, what is missing is the length of time this would take to implement along with the scale of implementation. It would take many years to get it right, while people need to utilize transport to get to work and for all industrialized factories to make products which are needed worldwide. Thus the adjustment period could get problematic in terms of production and distribution of needed produce. Similar to global warming, where it is not the fact that the world is heating up but the speed at which it's heating up. The speed at which we run out of oil will be a determining factor in terms of the economic fallout. In a general sense, it is quite obvious that a decline in the supply of something so intrinsic to the modern economy would have adverse economic consequences. However, there are a number of peak oil conspiracies which contend with some of the assumptions of peak oil, which are outlined below. 1. Peak oil invented by oil industries. The main peak oil conspiracy put forward is that there is no shortage of oil and that artificial demand is created by the oil barons. The oil companies are aware of peak oil but does not utilize additional reservoirs because it needs to maintain the illusion of scarcity. If there is a perceived shortage of oil, then prices can shoot through the roof, as has happened historically. It is true that a decrease in supply will result in an increase in price and therefore more money for oil producers who hold oil. And it would be in their interest for the prices of oil to go up. 2. Oil is renewable. Little credence can be given to this theory. Oil is not renewable in any way. It has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that oil is biotic in origin and non-renewable. And the point would be moot in any case. We are using oil faster than it would be replenished, leaving the world in the same position with regard to peak oil, needing to find an alternative energy source. 3. Renewable energy sources have been suppressed. There are many who contend that alternative energy sources are alive and well and actively suppressed, in order for the energy industries to maintain their monopoly. The energy sector is huge, and should an alternative energy source be developed, it will end a lot of multi-billion-dollar industries. All appliances run on energy. All cars run on energy. All manufacturing runs on energy. There is tremendous wealth in the oil industry. Thus, should a renewable device be developed which powers your house, car and everything else, it would definitely be a crippling blow to a variety of monopolies and a massive plus to ordinary citizens, as energy would be more or less free. However, peak oil conspiracy 3 is gaining traction and will continue to grow as more and more people look into alternative energy. The suppression of alternative forms of energy has been by far the largest and most accurate theory proposed by theorists. It is more important than any theory about debt, moon landings or absurd alien reptile conspiracy claims. The suppression of alternative forms of energy has had more of an effect on the financial, mental and emotional well-being of humanity than any other single factor. It would seem on the face of it that the win is for human ingenuity and the free market. The ultimate failure with every projection is that it is a projection upon which not all variables are known. Thus, current estimates indicate that oil will run out in the future. However, it cannot take into account how many oil reserves will be found or how technology that will be inevitably created will resolve current issues. Any equation or projection can only take into account known variables, and it is unknown variables that often have the greatest effect, such as the internet, bitcoins or other unknown disruptions.